2 videos in one day. Because why not? I've been doing a lot of soul searching, and I'm probably going to be for a very long time. I didn't realize how many things in life bothered me until I started really asking myself why or how or what whenever I hear very certain things, and they're always random things. Today I'm going to tell you a story. It's not going to be a pretty story. It's going to be one that I don't think I have told that many people. I don't know who I've told or how many people I've told. And whoever I have told about it, I've told bits and pieces. But I forgot about the story until last night when I was talking with my friends from my old job, and one of them said, I have a lot of money in my 401k. I have $6,000. And I was like, $6,000 in your 401k is not a lot of money. I have 6 figures in my 401k, and I don't think that's a lot of money. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, you could blow through $6,000 like that if you're not careful and you're not paying attention, if you allow yourself enough big purchases. And then I was thinking about it, and I thought back to a buddy of mine at a previous job who told me that, like, $10,000 is a lot of money. He said he didn't have a job, and he blew through that money in 5 months because he was just paying for bills and trying to maintain his old lifestyle. And he said, like, it wasn't that much money, and he said, like, I had to go back to work. And then I kept thinking about it, and I was like, I know there was a time where I blew through, and I thought about it, and I said, I know there was one point in time where I had $2,000 and I just fucking blew through it within a month or two. And I lived with my parents at the time, and so I didn't even have any bills, and I had a minimum wage part-time job. So I mean, it wasn't helping, but I still should have been able to save something. And then I thought about it. I was like, how the fuck did I do that again? And then I remembered I had an ex. And then I remember that whole story. And that was something that I've unpacked with very, very few people. So, here's the story. I worked at a Kroger, and I was single. I was about 18, 19 years old. There was this girl that worked in the floral section, and I was interested in her. And there was a mutual interest. And she wanted to see me, and I wanted to see her. And then I found out that she was engaged. At the time, I was like, okay, well, I didn't really think much about it, and I thought, okay, well, obviously she just wants to be friends then, because she's engaged. And then we kissed. And she was lying to him about me. And that very quickly turned into a situation. And when you're young and you're a guy and you're thinking with your dick, you're kind of like not really thinking about things. Long story short, we kind of have this like pseudo relationship, and she leaves him. And she moves in with me at my parents' house. And it very quickly becomes a very miserable experience. We didn't like each other as much as we thought. She was very traditional. She was traditional in the sense of she wanted a man that could pay for everything and get her whatever she wanted and take care of her. But she wasn't traditional when it came to marriage and being faithful. She was very religious, but she refused to acknowledge that when she did things that her religion probably wouldn't be too happy about. And there was some emotional abuse. There were things that she said to me that stuck with me for years. For years. Things that I couldn't unhear. They echoed in my brain in future relationships. To a point to where I decided to be single for 3 years. And then that kind of helped me get over it a little bit. And I was in the gym more, and I was more confident, and I was told by some people that that knew her that it was wrong. So, you know, she was very critical of everything about me, to a point to where I just wanted to appease her, and so I just did whatever she wanted me to do. Well, we both worked at Kroger for part-time minimum wage. There was no conversation ever about our future plans. There was no conversation ever about finding a better job or finding a stable income. She wanted me to get an apartment with her, and got upset when I told her that we didn't make enough money for that, because we both work part-time minimum wage. We can't afford $1,200 a month to have an apartment. And she got upset because she went out of her way to look for this apartment, found it, and didn't put she couldn't put two thoughts into the cost of things. At the time, I had money from my previous job. I had $2,000 in my savings, and I was kind of just going off whatever I was making that week, buying groceries and all that sort of stuff until I dated her. And in an attempt to make her happy, I tried to give her whatever she wanted. That turned into my savings account fucking emptying pretty quickly. Actually, as a matter of fact, I think it only took a month or two for me to go through that $2,000. Now, was she appreciative of that? Did she stop wanting things when I didn't have the money? Did she understand that what she was asking of me cost too much money? No. She questioned my manhood. She told me that a man is supposed to be able to pay for things, and if you can't afford things, then like you must not really be that much of a man. And I told her, I said, me and you make the same amount of money. I told her, you blow through your fucking paycheck. She would make the same amount of money I made and go through her paycheck in a day, and then she would follow me around and ask me to buy her stuff. And I just stopped buying myself things. I didn't really buy myself that many groceries or anything like that. And it got to a point where I was like, you just want me to be miserable to make you happy, don't you? And a couple of other things that I'm not going to really get into. There was that weird love triangle between me, her, and her ex. And basically, she would go to whomever. She would go back and forth and give attention to whomever gave her the better attention. And I broke up with her, but she was still there. So I kicked her out. And there was a couple of religious things too. She was a Christian creationist, meaning she believed in the Bible very, very literally. I'm an atheist. And she also questioned me a lot about that. She couldn't look past it. She demanded that I believed in the same things. She forced me to go to church with her, even when I told her that I didn't want to go. And told me, and every, like, her go-to was, if you loved me, you would. If you loved me, you would. If you loved me, you do that. If you were a man, you would do this. And I was being played because she was older than me. She was about 5 years older than me, maybe a little bit more. And she was very fucking manipulative. Very manipulative. And it took me a little bit to see through that ruse, especially when I ran out of money. When I ran out of money, that's when I realized, like, oh, this bitch is just costing me money and I'm not even happy. And a couple of other things that she said that I'm not going to get into that women say about men that just bother them and really make them feel self-conscious. And even though I kicked her out, it lingered. It put a bad taste in my mouth. Actually, it put such a bad taste in my mouth. For a while, I kind of hated women. I'm going to be honest. I didn't much care for them. I wished I was gay. I'm not. But literally, I looked at it and I said, like, to be honest, I either don't want to date anybody, or if being gay is a choice, then I wish I could just choose to fucking be gay, but it's not a choice. Because these women aren't for me. And, you know, I'm not gay, so, like, it's not really, like, it's not like I even tried to date any guys, but it was more just like I'm so pissed off that I just want nothing to do with women kind of thing. And I was angry for a long time. One day, because when I kicked her out, she moved in with her friend. And her friend hated me. Her friend fucking hated me. And then she lived with her friend. And then she was manipulating her friend and her friend's family into giving her money. She would cry every single time. I fucking hate it. To this fucking day, I hate it. When people cry because they didn't get their way. Solely because of this woman. Because it literally just reminds me of how manipulative this person was. And it makes it's very hard for me to acknowledge that some people are just a little bit emotionally immature, and not everybody's trying to manipulate you. But a lot of experiences that I've had like this and my job makes my brain want to think that I'm being manipulated. And so I argue and I challenge people because, to me, I think confrontation is the most honest form of communication. That probably says a lot about me, and that probably shows that maybe I do have a negative outlook, and maybe I don't have a healthy way of processing things, and maybe I'm kind of doomed until I work on that. But, you know, it's... in my older years, after I started having a couple of other relationships, so the next relationship I was pretty toxic in because of this. I was a toxic person because of this lady, because I just could not fucking get over how bad it was. To me, it was something that I should have probably spent more time, like, being single and working on myself and acknowledging these problems and actually going to therapy for them, or I don't know. But until I had a healthy relationship where somebody wasn't just going to argue with me and they actually sat down and talked with me about an adult, because I was so conditioned to argue that whenever something bothered me, I came up to her and I was ready for an argument. Like, I told her that something bothered me, and I was bracing for it. I was bracing for that argument. And I told her, I said, this really bothered me when you did this, and I didn't want to argue with you about it, so I kind of wanted to tell you now that I'm not really that upset about it. And she said, oh, okay. And that blew my fucking mind. Like, I didn't know that you could just fucking do that. I didn't. And then it got better from there. That relationship, you know, because I hated my job, I was miserable, and she knew I was miserable, and things weren't really working out, and she wanted better things, and I was kind of stuck in my own little world, in a jail and not willing to leave it. And she was like, "If you don't like it, you should probably just leave it." And she bought a house and she moved, and it was a very mutual breakup, and that blew my fucking mind. It was a mutual. It was a breakup where we didn't argue, and I don't really miss her, but it was just nice because for once it was a relationship where my image wasn't being questioned, my manhood wasn't being questioned, and those things weren't being used as tools against me. It was just two people trying to trying to see if there was something there. And after about 8 months and that one, nothing was there. And I thank her for that because it brought me back down and made me realize that some people just will hurt you. And you can't let that linger in you a little bit. You can't let that bother you. You can't let that sit with you for so long, and you can't let that define you. But also, you can't just avoid people because somebody hurt you, because all you have to do is just keep looking for somebody that's not going to hurt you. And that's what I started doing, and now I'm with somebody who I know fucking loves me, and I know I fucking love her. And there's nothing, I have never felt stronger in my life than knowing that there's somebody who I'm willing to be there for no matter what, and I feel that they feel the same way about me.